Joint Unified School District. So Chris, go ahead and introduce yourself. Let everybody know about who you are and take it away.
All right, thank you so much. It's great to be here. It's great to see lots of familiar faces and to meet some new folks. My name is Chris Finchak, and this is my 35th year in education. I've been in Livermore since 1994. Started here as a teacher, high school teacher, and a baseball coach, and worked my way through vice principal and principal at both elementary and high school, et cetera, et cetera. So I was the deputy superintendent for a number of years under Dr. Kelly Bowers, and I'm really thrilled that when she stepped away, the board entrusted me with the safety and security of 13,000 students and 1,500 employees. And so I'm really excited to be in this role and to be continuing to work with so many great people. Really, the message that I have this morning, I hope, is a very brief one, which is really one of sort of a request of help and support from the business community. We are working this year on updating and really reestablishing what we're going to call a graduate profile, which are the skills and attributes that we would like to see in our students as they leave high school. And that may seem as a very simple task, but just if I give you a teeny bit of history and some data that's a little bit distressing, you'll understand why I'm reaching out to you for support. So for many years, education has done a fairly good job of teaching knowledge and skills. And as we looked at some longitudinal data over the years, we began to understand that although we are doing a great job of getting students into college and getting students into jobs, their success when they get there hasn't been as good as what we'd like. For example, nearly 40% of the students, not just in Livermore, but in the state of California, who begin a four-year college will return home after 1 year. And just over half of those will get a degree within 4. And I know many people say, well, four-year college isn't for everybody. For many, community college is a better route. And I absolutely agree with that. Unfortunately, the statistics at community college aren't very much better. Only 11% of those who begin at a community college are transfer eligible in 2 years. So there's something missing. They're checking off the boxes for entrance, but they're not being successful. Why is that? Similarly, when we hear from the business community about some of the things that they need in new hires, we're finding that there are some attributes that are lacking. And I know this is where I hope you guys will step in and support our efforts. What we're hearing on a consistent basis is perseverance, reliability, responsibility, creativity, initiative. Those sorts of things are lacking from the people that you are hiring. And we also are hearing those similar attributes from colleges. And so as we reestablish our graduate profile, we'd like to bake those in to what we do. And as you can imagine, those aren't things that you can establish in a course senior year. Those are things that have to be done very intentionally and begun really in transitional kindergarten, providing students opportunities to succeed after they've failed, to provide students opportunities to work independently, to provide students opportunities to work in a group. I mean, those are things that have to be baked in to our education. And really historically in America, that hasn't been a focus of public education. It has been primarily focused on knowledge and skill development. And we don't hear from a lot of employers that, people would be better off if they understood biology better, or people would be better off if they just knew a little bit more about macroeconomics. What we're hearing is more about personal characteristics. And so as we seek to upgrade and update our graduate profile, I'd really like to reach out to this group for help in establishing some of those personal characteristics that we would like to see in our graduates. And so really for this group, it's 2 questions. And if you have an interest in participating in the committee who comes together to explore this, really the 2 questions are, what are the personal qualities most necessary for success in your business? So what do you need from new employees, and which ones are most often lacking? So those are things that obviously aren't well established during their years with us. And so what do people need to be like, and what are you seeing as consistently lacking? And so what we will be doing is reaching out. I'm going to start with this group because this is a group of veterans, of folks established in the community, folks that we trust. Your opinions have a great deal of weight at that table. I will be reaching out and saying, who's interested in sitting down and participating in this conversation? Because once we establish that graduate profile, everything works backwards. If we want students to be in a certain place at the end of 12th grade year, they need to be 97% there by 11th grade year. And so we just work our way backwards, and so that we establish a very intentional approach to the establishment of personal characteristics beginning really when they start with this at the age of 4. So anyway, that's kind of my ask of this group. I'm happy to, engage in other conversation with anyone who would like to do so. But really, I know you guys have a lot on your plate and a lot on your minds, and it was just mostly an opportunity for me to say to our business community, hey, we'd like your help. We know what the UCs are asking for. We're not sure that what they're asking for is consistent with what's necessary to be successful, but we know what they're asking for. The same is true to a certain extent of the business community. And so I'd like to reach out to you guys and say, hey, who'd like to sit down at the table and share some experiences and help us to build this profile so we can send, because your employees are our kids now. A lot of our, Livermore's a great place. A lot of our students, as much as they hate it when they're 13, they return to it when they're 23. And they really do, they love it here. And so the folks that are going through schools, they will be the ones who are applying for positions at your companies. And so we'd love to see, and we'd love to hear from you, what is it that we can do to make them more successful when they begin their work with you? So that's kind of where I stand, and I'll work with Don and the crew to send out an invitation to anyone who's interested in participating in that conversation.
Okay, great. So your contact information, you'll get that through Dawn and the chamber and everybody else so they can circle back with you. And are there any questions from the group for Chris?
Chris, what's your timeline that you're looking to get this ball rolling?
We'd like to get the community together probably for the first meeting within the next 4 weeks. And I'd say we'd probably like to complete our work somewhere right around the first of the year. So it'll probably be 3 or 4 one-hour meetings. That will be your commitment. Again, we're looking for your experiences and your expertise, but this isn't going to be one of those, 18-month committees that has no results. We're gonna get at it really quickly. We know exactly what we're looking for, and it really is just tapping into your experiences, which we think we can do in a efficient and effective manner. So probably 3 to 4 one-hour meetings over the next 3 months.
Okay, I see a hand raised. David, go ahead with your question.
Yeah, good morning. It sounds like you're really on the right track, but what about the role of the parents? Traditionally, those types of values and attitudes are taught at home, and it seems like it could be lacking at the home. So how does the school intervene when the parents themselves are absent?
Yeah, that's the $1 million question of education. And we try to, really it's a partnership, and we recognize that not all students have the benefit of great families at home that are present and involved in their lives, and we have to approach it from that direction. We partner with parents, we discuss with them the sorts of things that we're doing. Ultimately, and this may be somewhat off of what you're used to hearing, but our responsibility is to society, to the community. I mean, we educate kids for you all so that we have great citizens. We don't work for parents, and I think sometimes they feel like we do, but we work for the community. And our job is to educate students so that they are great community members. And so we want to partner with parents. And I know sometimes you hear from parents, nobody knows my kid better than I do. And we get that, but we also understand that there's expertise in the business community and in the community at large that is very useful. And so we partner with parents. We talk about the things that we want to do. We talk about how we start that off. And really the cleanest way for us to do that is to have this really clear, really simple graduate profile. This is what we want your son or daughter to look like when they leave our school. These are what we will be working on, and allowing parents into that conversation. But that's a great question. When there are parents who are less effective in the development of some of these attributes, it does leave a lot of stress on us.
Okay, thank you.
Great. All right.
Well, on behalf of the business community, Chris, thank you for, recognizing this and to reaching out to the business community for their input, because, as you know, today, the pressure is on to fill so many job openings out there. And there's a lot of factors involved into the challenges of filling those job openings. But nevertheless, that doesn't mean that we shouldn't plan long-term. So I like where you're going with this, and we appreciate you, establishing this and reaching out to our business members. So when you're ready, give me the info. We'll put it on our newsletters and put a link. And so others that are not in the meeting today, I think you'll probably get a lot of interest from the rest of the business community as well. So
Great.
Thank you for that.
Okay, thank you.
All right. Okay, so we'll go backwards a little bit here in our regular format. Thank you, Chris, for presenting. So we're going to circle back to Martha for chamber updates, please. The president and CEO of the California Hispanic Chambers of Commerce.
Yes. So before we get started with Julian, I just wanted to express my excitement about this new partnership that the Livermore Valley Chamber of Commerce has established with the California Hispanic Chambers of Commerce organization. It expands for our members the breadth of resources that are available to all of our businesses. And also it offers us opportunities for our Hispanic businesses, Spanish-speaking employers, employees. They have some options there that they can offer some counseling, workshops, and other things in Spanish if necessary. So having that resource available to us is exciting. And then there's a lot of programs and features of the organization that are new and will enhance what the Livermore Valley Chamber of Commerce offers to its members. So I'm really thrilled about this partnership. And Julian and his team, Magali Torres, is also on the line here with us today. So Julian, thank you for your patience. I know we were running a little bit behind. So, so you have the floor, Julian.
Well, thank you, Don, and hello, Livermore Chamber board members. But thank you, Don, for the meetings that we've had, and this is a partnership. A lot of people says, "Oh, we're members," but it's really a partnerships that we develop with our chambers. And I would be remiss if I didn't say hello to John Freeman down there. Hi, John, and John and I have worked together before in some of his other roles when he was in San Joaquin County in Stockton and associated with our chambers down there. But the California Hispanic Chambers, and I always have to tell people, yeah, we're the Hispanic Chamber, but what we do day in and day out is really complementary and supports small business in California throughout the state, right? And so that made us realize that we had, in previous years, prior to my return here about 2.5 years, 3 years ago, is that, they were concentrating on Hispanic chambers. And we said, well, our reach is much more than that. And we have chambers out there that we don't have a Hispanic chamber, but they have a reach into the Hispanic community. And we have to be able to help them better serve the Hispanic community and their small business community. And we have the resources and we were going the route of developing other resources just to do that. So when Dawn came to us, said, hey, we really like to join in. And I think Dawn and her team, some of her team members had a chance to come over to Oakland for our annual convention. You know, and with other chambers, it's sharing of best practices. And I think what you guys, how you guys do your meeting here is fantastic. And I think, Don, it's something you're going to have to share with the other chambers throughout the state and tell them, hey, it's great. I mean, when you've got, you know, the city, the school board, and the school district, and you've got the cultural arts there, and saying, here's what we're doing, here's how the chamber and small business can be engaged. You know, we build better communities overall throughout the state. So some of the things that we offer is, number one, we work a lot on capacity building. So it's about building capacity within our chambers so they can better serve their members in their service delivery areas. And that's everything from best practices to our upcoming, in the next quarter, I believe we're going to do our Inspire conference, where our chambers get together and talk about best practices, or maybe, you know, information on how to better run your board of directors, or how, you know, better volunteer engagement. We are the only organization, I believe, nationwide that has an online capacity building chamber development leadership program that's done online. It's 11 modules. We are revamping it now, and that we've partnered with a small school university down in Southern Cal, Pacific Oaks University in Pasadena, who's doing the work for us and doing the online administration for us on that. And we offer that to our chambers free of charge. If they're a partner of ours, a member of ours, we usually, on each cohort, we give them 2 slots for either staff or their board members, right? And so, you know, one way we're saying, hey, we need to build stronger chambers. We need to have our board members and our staffs more knowledgeable of what they need to do, and how do we sustain our chambers throughout. And then that sends us to, you know, how do we help our chambers be sustainable? And so a lot of things we did, some items that we've done is created some, we call them, you know, non-dues revenue programs, but also enhanced membership, right? And membership benefits that Dawn and her team can add to their membership package, right? And whether that's our healthcare solutions programs, whether that's our, you know, some of our insurance, Liberty Mutual. We've got a number of programs that are out there. You know, we're negotiating now with the largest, actually, they're the ones that do all the backbone for all the merchant transactions. And so again, some better deals for our members, as you know, or those of you that are business owners, you know, when we can save a business 1-2%, you know, profit margins are so thin, that's what we need to do. And so we develop different programs on that end that chambers can take advantage of. We are also a regional, what they call a regional SBDC, Small Business Development Center. And I believe we're the only one in Northern California. As you all know, you have a Small Business Development Center in Alameda County, which is ran by CSU East Bay, our friends there. And you know, they run the program in Alameda County. Our program, we have entree, I say entree into all 36 Northern California counties, Alameda included. So what does that mean? That means that, for instance, Don can call us and say, hey, we've got this thing we want to do, and maybe Alameda's busy, or maybe they don't have it in their portfolio. We're able to do it, produce it, and come in and do the program or assist. Or you've got businesses, and you know, like Don said, they're Spanish speaking maybe, or maybe they're more comfortable in Spanish. You get to refer them over to us. So again, that program kind of enhances the Alameda program that is there. It doesn't displace it. Nor do we expect our people to become dependent, you know, not on us, but also, you know, Alameda. And we coordinate with the Alameda Chamber when we come into those areas. So, but again, it's another benefit that you're able to add to your membership, you know, business one-on-one advising, consulting, specific, you know, to your small businesses. You know, we just, we continue to grow that. We are now continuing our veterans outreach program, which is part of SBDC. It does one-on-one specific to the veterans. You know, it's funny. I shouldn't say funny, but we took on this because the program was having some problems here in Northern California. They asked us to step in, and I think in about 3 weeks went out to some of the bases, and we did some transitional programming for veterans and just our outreach efforts. And, you know, we had about 100 clients within the first month. And that kind of said, well, there's a lot of need in the veteran community, right? And I'm saying all veterans, not just disabled veterans, but all veterans. And And so, one of the things we found out, I was just talking with the Secretary of Veteran Affairs, Vito Ambiashi, and I said, geez, a lot of the veteran businesses, the biggest issue they have is in HR, right? And I said, yeah, it's kind of cultural when you think about it, right? If you're a top shirt in the military and you come out, everybody's always done what you told them to, right? And you didn't have to worry about, HR regulations or anything else. So again, there's been a lot of work, especially on HR with some of our veteran businesses, but also funding, access to capital, et cetera. And that's what our SBDC does, right? And I'm proud to say that our SBDC is really focused not on the moment or the needs of the business that they need at that point, but really on their success, their overall success. And, we had a business come in one time and they said, well, we were interviewing them for a video and they were telling us that, yeah, we finally went to we couldn't get a loan. And we finally went to the Hispanic Chambers SBDC program and they didn't care about our loan. I'm going, I thought we vetted these people out before we interviewed them, right? And the lady turned around, she goes, they were committed to our success from the get-go. And that's what got us the loan, so kind of a little bit different philosophy, but I think our people are, what I take pride in is they are really attuned to small businesses. And I think that's what you have to do in programs such as that. I took too much time on that, but, and then also on our legislative side. So I know Don and I talked a lot about legislative side and we understand that our chambers in the state, our smaller chambers, they don't have the resources to put into all the fancy tools. And so we develop those. And so, for instance, like our chambers in LA, I'll use them as an example. There are a number of bills, as in Northern California, that are specific to a region, right? And maybe the chamber's tracking those. And so, a lot of times we're just looking back and forth at the state's website, but, we're able to take those bills and we're able to put them into our system and be able to track them for them and give them the reports, or they can pull down the reports on a timely basis or on, 24/7. And so that's something we make available to our chambers and assist them in being better advocates at the local level, which is really a huge initiative of our chairman, Bob Gutierrez, is that, he wants our chambers to be stronger advocates at the city and local levels. And that's how we build better communities, right? It's all about economic development and being an economic development engine there. Not, we still do our mixers, we still do our little events, we still do our community events, but end of the day, we realize that our chambers need to be economic development engines and we need to support them in that effort. And so, on a lot of legislative stuff, we do that. We now have available, I just call it voter voice because I haven't figured out a little fancy name for it. But many of you have probably seen it with other organizations where we're able to upload a letter and Don calls us, says, hey, we've got this ordinance they want to pass and it's bad. And we're trying to fight it and we're trying to get our chambers to get letters in. So we can upload it in the system. We send Don the link and she can send it out to her members so they can click on wherever they live, go to the city council member or their board of supervisors, wherever the ordinance is, and the letter sent, right? The email, whatever. So again, the question was how do we help our chambers become more engaged at the local level with advocacy? And then that was one of the solutions that we found out that they not needed, right? How do we get our people to write letters and do those campaigns like we see out there? So, we invested some money and we now have that and we make it available to our local chambers. So for instance, for Alameda County, I believe we have the County Board of Supervisors. We have the Alameda, the Oakland, and then also I think Livermore now we've added since they've come on board, city councils. So, and we can drill it all the way down to school districts if needed in certain communities. So that's another thing. And then, as I said, a lot of advocacy training and we do a lot of advocacy. So we have two organizations. We have the California Hispanic Chambers of Commerce and we have the California Hispanic Chambers of Commerce Foundation. That's a mouthful. And the foundation handles all of our education programs. It handles all of our chamber development programs, et cetera. And the chamber side, the 501c6 handles all the advocacy work. And so that's where that previous program comes out of, as well as our political action committee, which we urge, and I think, John's familiar with this, we urge our local chambers to make recommendations of local candidates. I'm proud to say this year, I think we have about almost 10 local candidates that we're supporting throughout the state. And these are individuals that maybe a chamber says, we really need them in the city. We need them to be a council member. We need them to be on the Board of Supervisors. And we feel they have the potential of going to the state level, to the Assembly and the Senate, as many do, right? And, we always see those people and those individuals, and, 4 or 8 years down the road, we see them running for the Assembly or the Senate. And we put in that strategy a few years ago when I came back, and actually it came to fruition a little bit faster than I thought, because we have, I believe, about 2 or 3 individuals that have been council members or Board of Supervisors that we've supported over the years, that are now going to be in the State Assembly or the State Senate. And we continue to support them. So what does that mean? That means we don't have to develop that friendship, right? From when they get to Sacramento. It's already been developed because we support them back in the days when they were city council member in Livermore. And so we encourage our chambers to participate in that and participate in the PAC. So that's a lot of things that we're doing on the political side. We just got past, talk about small business and some of our advocacy work. We just got past AB 2019. The governor signed it last Friday. And that codifies a 25% procurement goal, contracting goal for all the state agencies. Those of you familiar with the state, there are over 200 state agencies. And you can imagine if they're doing 25% contracting with small business, what that means for our local economies, right? Our small business community. And so since we were the co-sponsor on that bill, and one of the things we're going to do now is not only educate state agencies of what they need to do and how they do it, and outreaching through our chambers, because we think that's the best tool that they have to be able to get those small businesses, but also, get our businesses certified throughout the state, right? I mean, there is no reason why small businesses, there are tons of small businesses I know in Livermore that can do state work, right? And we got to make sure they get those contracts that come out, since we now have that goal in place. We also, and I don't want to go too long, but we also work with Jennifer Barrera, the president and CEO, my counterpart at the California Chamber of Commerce. And her and I are really working on a program that we call it our Business Strategic Council. And Jennifer came to me when she took the position last December and said, Jules, I really need your help on something. And I said, oh, okay, well, what, always glad. And I've known Jennifer for years. And she said, I need your help to engage the smaller chambers throughout the state. I mean, and I'm going, well, I thought you guys always did. She goes, we don't do a great job at it. You guys, you guys have a little platform in place. And so now, we're able to go out and say, oh, we got some real strategic stuff, business stuff going on in the East Bay. And, we're able to bring in Don and get Livermore engaged in that and educated there. So again, we don't work in a silo. I believe really in collaborative efforts. That's how we're successful. That's why I was so pleased when I heard Don the Livermore Chamber wanted to come on board, because really, who do we have out there in the East Bay? I mean, our Alameda Chamber basically helps Oakland, right? They're Oakland centric. Nothing wrong with that, but that's how they're doing it. And I said, we have a growing East Bay. I'm from Stockton, so I'm, we're always, going through Livermore, except I got to get my daughters to understand that it's more than shopping, right? Going there to shop all the time. But, so that's why we were so pleased with Livermore coming on, because it helps us have a little bit more help there in the East Bay area and with businesses there and getting services out to that area. So, and then, finally, I think, one of the things that we love always doing, and John knows this about me, is that, we are not shy to introduce, our partners to other potential, funders or members, right? And if Don comes up to me at a conference that we're at, and we've got Meta there and T-Mobile, and she says, Jules, I don't have them in the chamber. Can I meet them? I'll go over there and I'll do the introduction right then or there. Or I'll get calls all the time as everybody's doing their event, and they'll say, hey, can you get this out to your contact list of potential sponsors to help? So, any way we can help our chambers within our means, we're willing to do it, and we're not afraid of doing it. And I know there's a lot of organizations you belong to that, they say, oh, well, you might take away the money from us or the potential partnership from us. I think I'm a big believer that if we're doing our job, I've got nothing to worry about, right? And my job is to help our local partners to be, engaged and be able to sustain their organizations. And then, I talked about our relationship with of course, Cal Chamber, but, we also have a relationship with East Bay Council, the Bay Area Council. Jim Wonderman and I are old friends. And then we're also participating on their new California coalition, where we're trying to bring to light some of these issues that are really impacting our small businesses out there, and trying to get some change as we move forward. And then finally, we have programs that we put in place to talk about helping our chambers. And so we put together years ago a sustainability program. And through that program, there's a lot of energy conservation education, other programs. And so from those programs, we also, way I apply for them is saying, I have these members throughout the state, 120 of them. How best can I use these dollars or this grant and have them execute for me on the ground? And so, we've briefed Dawn on it, and I think she has a couple applications in for different events where we have funding available. John's familiar that when San Joaquin County, did a number of events there where they've asked for funding, and we're able to supply it under that program. And, we usually ask it, you just have to hand out this little card, or put it in the bag or whatever it may be. So, we have a large reach, and I think, we're able to leverage all of our chambers for their benefit throughout the state. So we're looking forward to working with Livermore and Magali and Don and the rest of my team are working on, how best, does that part, what does that partnership going to look like, how engaged it is, and everything else. But we are, we've been committed, I like to say, to all of our chambers throughout the state. I talked to one of the chambers and says, well, we know we're engaged, but sometimes we don't feel that we're engaged. And I said, well, what does that mean? Well, then let's fix it, right? And I can't fix something if I don't know about it. And I told Don, I said, if you got an issue with us or a problem or something that we need to fix together, let us know. And that's why we're here. So I think I covered everything, Don.
Well, Magali has her contact information in the chat too. So,
Yeah.
So she's doing cleanup on that.
Yeah, and please just call Magali or if you need me, just say, hey, I really need to talk to Julian, or I don't know if Magali put my number in, but I'm not afraid to take the call. From our members and our partners out there. Like I said, my whole thing is just seeing our chamber succeed, those that are members and those that are affiliated with us. And because my philosophy has always been is we make you guys strong, we're going to be strong at the end of the day. So.
Thank you,
Hey,
Julian.
Yes, John.
Go ahead, John.
Hey, Julian, I just wanted to say thanks for those words and all that you do at the state level and advocacy. It's great work that you guys do. I got a seat for you, or even two, for the Livermore Biz Awards, and I'd like you to be my guest. If you have the time to make it out to that, that'd be great. Everybody can be.
Well, definitely send it over to us, and then we'd love to be there. I don't. What day is that, Don?
It's the 13th, Martha.
Yes. Yes.
Yep, the 13th of October.
I'm sure you've got a request in for it too with us. So.
And
We'd be
Kilwater
glad to.
is a sponsor, is one of the sponsors. So
Okay.
yes. So we'll send that information over to you.
And then just real quick closing, John reminded me of something, because we're doing a number of things with Cal Water on water education, right? But a lot of times our chambers don't have resources to do these programs. And that's one of the things about our business development side. It's just not the SBDC, but it's other, educational programs. And they come to us as, hey, we want to do a workshop. We'd like to do a webinar, but, do you have the speakers? Do you have the system, all that? And we make that all available to you guys. And the other thing I'm big on is us. And I'm at a conference right now, and I'm telling them that, one of our biggest problems that we need to do more of is really educating our businesses on the issues. And I really think if you educate them, that they'll become more engaged. Not that they're not engaging, with you guys, but, we always could use more, right? And more people understanding why are we taking these positions on certain bills. and why is it being so hard for business to survive, and why you're hearing these stories. And, legislators just don't understand that, our small businesses run on the smallest of margins. I tell them, I said, I think out of our 50,000 businesses that we have that are associated with us through our chambers, maybe I have a couple 1%ers, 2%ers, but most of them are not in that category that you guys are thinking of. I think, things like, many of you heard about AB 257, and the fast food deal. And we worked hard in opposing that. We didn't win that one, but the whole point was that our franchisees are not the McDonald's corporation. They are small business owners at the end of the day. And that's who we need to protect. And that's who we're committed to protecting. So.
Okay, thank you, Julian.
Thank you.
Thanks,
And
everybody.
everybody, great to see you. And hopefully I'll see you guys on the 13th. So
Yeah.
live and in person.
Yes. And so you'll see more from the Hispanic Chamber of Commerce because we'll be posting that. So when you see that on our buzz or promoting on our website, on our social media, it's because of that partnership. And so that is just expanding the resources to all of our businesses. So, yes. Thank you, Julian. Thank you, Magali.
Thank you. We'll see you.
So Dawn, going to go through some of the ballot measures for us at this time.
Yes, thank you. Yeah, so I want to share my screen with y'all. So very quickly, at the September meeting, can everybody see that? I got Sharon, yeah?
Yes, we can.
Thank you. You had presentations from a number of representatives for some of the measures and also the state propositions. So it's laying it all out there for everyone because, those, you get the ballot books in the mail and it's like, what? And some of these definitely have some impact on the Livermore Valley economy. And so we took a look at those and reviewed those and determined which of any we want to take positions on, and then wrote this report. And now you all should have gotten that first special election edition issue of our buzz on last Friday. We'll continue to post that throughout the month until Election Day, and it's also resides on our website as well. So very quickly, because I know we're running short on time. Our recommendations on the support side, these are the local propositions. Measure D, which is the County of Alameda measure, amends the early Measure D that was approved by voters in 2000, affecting our agricultural and open space areas in the unincorporated county. They made some tweaks to it, allowing agricultural related structures on large partial agricultural zoned areas, allowing them to build a little bigger than in the earlier measure. And then there's some focus on the equestrian operations out there as well, so that they can build their arenas. So, so it's very basic. It was a win, it's progress. And I put in here that, given all of the challenges and the restrictions from the Measure D, sometimes we approve these with the best of intentions, but then we have unintended consequences. So it's very restrictive for property owners out there. And so here we are 20 years later, and now we know what our history is. It would have been nice if this could have gone a little further and given property owners a little bit more latitude on the activities that they want to do out there. But nevertheless, it's progress. So our recommendation on that is to support. Progress is good, even if it's small. Measure G, that's the school district infrastructure bond measure. So we took a look at that. This has to do with the infrastructure of the school district's facilities. They have their master plan. They've outlined in this bond measure how the money will be applied and the improvements that will be done to our aging educational campuses that are out there. Their facilities master plan identified about $1.7 billion in improvements that are necessary. So this, along with the $245 million bond measure that was approved by voters in 2016, moves the needle a little further. We are very proud of the quality of our, our parks, of our community assets that we have out here, and our schools deserve the same attention. There's a cost associated with that. We recognize that. It will increase the assessment on properties for sure, but there's a responsibility to maintain and keep in good working order and making sure that our community assets remain relevant and safe and secure and meet the intended need into the future. So now it comes time to pay that. The bills come due. And so we want these things, and there's a cost associated with that. We recognize that. Nevertheless, we believe that investment in infrastructure is very important. And in this case, it actually affects the development of our future workforce. So we get a twofer with this. So the chamber recommends support for this. Measure G. Measure P is the city of Livermore's measure, Clean Water, Vibrant Wine Country. And basically this approves the city taking its sanitary sewer service beyond the city limits and the urban growth boundary into the unincorporated area to serve the South Livermore Valley agricultural area, primarily our vineyards and our wineries out there. And I think it's been said earlier in the meeting today that we have some issues in Dennis Zone 7 with septic systems and the impacts to early agricultural activities to the groundwater basin, of which we do pump groundwater for our municipal water supply here. So this helps reduce the reliance on that type of activity, and so that they can tie into the city system and for their sanitary water uses. It helps our agricultural community then regain progress and to grow and expand and to become economically viable and successful in the future and to grow. All those early plans, South Livermore area, plan, East County area plan, the plans for growth in that area is kind of stymied due to the lack of sufficient infrastructure. So this is a really important first step towards providing that infrastructure so that they can continue to remain there and also to thrive. So we definitely, and we were an early supporter of this, advocating with the city and the county to get this going. So we continue to support this with a recommendation of support. Prop 26, this is the state, one of the propositions at the state level. This is the Tribal Sports Wagering Act. Our recommendation on this is to oppose Prop 26. And basically what the tribal casinos have asked for is they want to be allowed to do sports wagering in person in their casinos, as well as some other things like, roulette and dice games and all of that. And also they include 4, horse racing tracks in the state of California, one of which does not include the Alameda County Fairgrounds racetrack, by the way. All of that sounds well and good. We're neutral. If they want to increase their activities in their casinos, we're fine with that. But this proposition has a little clause in there that basically allows private lawsuits against other gaming establishments that are not tribal casinos. And apparently there's a history, when I did the research on this, that tribal casinos have always, desired to have all gaming within their establishments, including card rooms. Well, Livermore happens to have 2 very successful and popular card rooms, licensed, legal, been here for decades. Those licenses go way back. So this jeopardizes the legal and economic viability of those establishments, and they have some major positive economic impacts just to Livermore and this Tri-Valley region. So for that reason, the chamber opposes Proposition 26. We do not want to jeopardize those types of establishments. The tribal casinos want to do that type of activity, that's fine, But this little clause is a deal breaker for us, so we oppose that. And that is all of our recommendations. How am I doing? Oh, I'm running over a little bit. And we have one quick announcement too. Any questions for me?
Dawn, I love this.
It's on our website.
I think
On
it's
our website.
awesome. It's like
Yeah.
it's a little cheat sheet and it just kind of, and especially like, I think it's great. I don't know, I apologize. I don't know if you did this before. I think it is incredibly helpful. So thanks for the time and, researching everything and giving this guidance to the members of the business community.
Okay.
So,
And no comments or questions, you all can email me, of course, or always call me if you do have any of those questions or comments.
all right.
Okay.
So we need to wrap it up here. Jeannie, right?
Yes, Jeannie, are you still there?
She put something in the chat.
Here. Oh, I covered my camera.
Hey, Jeannie. Hi, Jeannie. Florida.
I just want to say, for those of you who don't know, I'm in Florida now and survived our first hurricane, which was very interesting. Our worst thing is I had to go rescue catfish from our gutter. Don't ask me how they got there, but I was out there at midnight chasing catfish into the drain so they'd survive. But I just wanted to share that I don't know. I know some of the news early on was not very accurate and very, scary and overblown. But we are still having flooding. Daily, there's new neighborhoods that are flooding. And so I just wanted to share that to organizations that I think are doing good jobs down here. And if you're at all able to help, there's a lot of people really need help. They've lost everything. And it's still happening. Sorry, I get choked up. So please, if you can help at all, we'd appreciate it. Our town is suffering quite a bit. We're okay, but half the town is underwater and still flooding because of vandalism.
So Jeannie, you had a couple of recommendations if people wanted to give.
Yeah, I put them in there. World Central Kitchen is awesome. They're serving thousands and thousands and thousands of meals throughout the state. And then Convoy Hope is another one. They are providing food to people, packaged foods and things for them to take and necessary supplies. The one thing I have not heard very good things about the Florida Disaster Fund. So you might want to vet it out if that's what you're looking at, but I've heard it's a little too politically motivated by the governor because his wife runs it. So yeah. So anyway, I thank you for the time. I hope you can help out. You guys have a great day. Stay dry. We're dry for a few days.
There's our wonderful Jeannie all the way in Florida, helping others as usual. That hasn't changed. So
You got it.
right. Okay, so with that, I think we're going to wrap it up, right, Dawn? So our next meeting is Wednesday, November 2nd. All right, thanks, everybody. Have a great